Hey everyone, and welcome back to the channel. Today, we're journeying back in time, not just to Rome, but to the heart of its empire. The arena. When you hear Roman arena, your mind probably jumps straight to the Colosseum, and for good reason. It's an icon. But the story of these epic structures is much broader and more fascinating than just one building. So, where did it all begin? The concept of the arena, or amphitheater, didn't just pop up out of nowhere. Its roots are actually in much older traditions. The earliest gladiatorial contests weren't for mass entertainment. They were deeply tied to funeral rites, known as asterisk. Munera asterisk. These were a duty or offering to honor the deceased. A powerful family would stage a fight to the death at a nobleman's funeral, believing the blood spilled would appease the gods and purify the dead man's soul. These early contests were small-scale, often held in public forums or marketplaces, with temporary wooden seating for spectators. As Rome grew in power and wealth, so did the scale of these games. Ambitious politicians quickly realized that sponsoring these events was a fantastic way to win public favor. The bigger and more spectacular the games, the more popular the sponsor. This political one-upmanship fueled the evolution of the arena. The first stone amphitheater wasn't even built in Rome itself, but in Pompeii, around 70 BC. This shows just how widespread the demand for these spectacles had become throughout the Italian peninsula. Back in Rome, they were still using temporary wooden structures. The most famous early one was built by a man named Gaius Scribonius Curio in 53 BC. It was a truly ingenious piece of engineering. He built two massive wooden theaters. In the morning, they'd stage separate theatrical plays. Then, in the afternoon, the two halves would rotate on pivots, joining together to form a single, elliptical arena for gladiatorial combat. Can you imagine the spectacle of the building itself transforming before your eyes? It was this kind of showmanship that the Roman people craved. However, wooden structures had their limits. They were prone to fire and collapse, sometimes with catastrophic consequences. In 27 AD, during the reign of Emperor Tiberius, a poorly built wooden amphitheater in the town of Fidna collapsed, reportedly killing or injuring as many as 50,000 people. This disaster highlighted the urgent need for safer, more permanent venues. This brings us to the Flavian Dynasty and the granddaddy of all arenas, the Colosseum. Its construction began under Emperor Vespasian in 72 AD and was completed by his son, Titus, in 80 AD. The Colosseum, originally known as the Flavian Amphitheatre, was a political statement. It was built on the site of Emperor Nero's extravagant private estate, the Dumas, by building a massive public venue right there. Vespasian was symbolically returning the land to the people of Rome. It was a masterpiece of propaganda and engineering, funded by the spoils from the Jewish war, including treasures looted from the temple in Jerusalem. The Colosseum was the largest amphitheater ever built. It could hold an estimated 50 to 80,000 spectators, all arranged in a tiered seating system that reflected the rigid social hierarchy of Roman society. The emperor and senators had the best seats, right near the action, while the poor and women were relegated to the very top tiers. The design was genius. It had 80 entrances, allowing the massive crowds to enter and exit in minutes. The floor of the arena was a wooden surface covered in sand. Word arena actually means sand in Latin, to soak up the blood. Beneath the arena floor was the Hypogeum, a complex, two-level subterranean network of tunnels and cages. Here, gladiators, animals, and stage props were held before being dramatically lifted into the arena through trap. This allowed for stunning surprise entrances, with a lion or a group of gladiators seemingly appearing from nowhere. The inaugural games, held by Titus in 80 AD, lasted for 100 days. Historical accounts speak of epic spectacles. Thousands of wild animals slaughtered, naval battles staged by flooding the arena, and countless gladiatorial contests. These weren't just random fights. They were highly organized events. The day might start with asterisk, Venetians asterisk, or wild animal hunts, featuring exotic beasts from across the empire: elephants, rhinos, crocodiles, you name it. Then, at midday, you'd have the public executions of criminals. a grim form of entertainment that served as a stark warning to the populace. The main event, of course, was the gladiatorial combat. Gladiators were usually slaves, prisoners of war, or condemned criminals. But some were free men who chose the life for a chance at fame and fortune. They were trained in special schools, or learning to fight with specific types of weapons and armor. You had the Resiarius, with his net and trident, the Secutor with his heavy shield and sword, and many other classes, each with its own style and equipment. These matchups were carefully planned, like a modern sporting event, to create the most exciting contests. A successful gladiator could become a superstar, adored by the crowds and earning a fortune. The Colosseum was the model, but amphitheaters were built all across the Roman Empire, from Britain to Syria. Places like the Hypogeum in Tunisia and the Pula Arena in Croatia are still remarkably well preserved and give us a stunning sense of the scale of Roman entertainment. These arenas were more than just sports stadiums. They were centers of Roman culture, a place where the power of the emperor was put on full display and Roman identity was reinforced. But all things must come to an end. The decline of the arena was a gradual process. The rise of Christianity played a huge role. Early Christians were often the victims of the arena's brutality, and the church condemned the games as pagan and cruel. In 325 AD, Emperor Constantine, the first Christian emperor, officially banned gladiatorial schools. While the games didn't stop overnight, their popularity waned. The last recorded gladiatorial contest in the Colosseum took place in the early 5th century, and the animal hunts continued for about another century after that. As the Western Roman Empire crumbled, the cost of staging such extravagant games became unsustainable. The great arenas fell into disuse. The Colosseum, for example, was repurposed over the centuries. It was used as a fortress, a quarry for building materials, a housing complex, and even a Christian shrine. Earthquakes and neglect took their toll, leaving us with the iconic ruin we see today. Yet, the legacy of the Roman arena endures. It's in the design of our modern stadiums, with their elliptical shape and tiered seating. It's in our fascination with spectacle and combat sports. These ancient structures are not just piles of stone. They are a window into the soul of Rome, its engineering brilliance, its love of spectacle, its political cunning, and its capacity for both breathtaking creativity and shocking brutality. They remind us of how different the world once was, and yet how some aspects of human nature never really change. Thanks for joining me on this deep dive into the history of the Roman arena. What part of their story fascinates you the most? Let me know in the comments below. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit that notification bell so you don't miss our next historical adventure. See you next time.